Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Today's episode, powered by Hayabusa, is all about what to do if someone blocks your low kicks. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what to do if someone blocks your low kick. With this big craze on calf kicks, what's happening is, one, people are throwing them too often and getting countered and hurt. Some people are throwing them incorrectly and possibly breaking their shin. Or they're throwing them, they're getting blocked, and they're not doing anything about it. All of a sudden, now that the low kick is blocked, guess what? Kicks are stopped being thrown. Where this video is going to show you that just because your low kick is blocked, it doesn't mean it stops there. And that's one of the biggest frustrating things as a coach and as a kickboxer and as a low kicker, to see people stop throwing it after they're blocked. So what happens from MMA into kickboxing when you see it? So you'll understand that one, range is a little different between the two sports. In MMA, you tend to be a little bit of a longer range, right? Because of the small gloves, you can't really sit in mid-range as well. So you're either really out or really close in mixed martial arts. Where more in a kickboxing fights, you do stay in that mid-range a little bit more. Obviously, there's no takedowns, so the threat of the legs changes, and I'm aware of that. So yes, things are different, but the same principle can be applied in MMA and in kickboxing. Yes, it's a little bit different. In MMA, you know, the kicks happen less often, where in kickboxing, you don't get hit as much with calf kicks and the damage isn't there because it happens. It's part of the sport more often. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the strategies. It's blocked. Now what do you do? So my favorite, okay, and the first thing you need to understand is the difference between a setup and a finished low kick. So not every low kick the same, just like not every jab is the same. So understanding the difference between a setup and a finished low kick is the first thing you need to understand. If you didn't do, we saw Chris Weidman break his shin. So the way not to break it, which I did a video on, it's to make sure you understand that you don't throw all your kicks with power. When I throw these setup low kicks, I'm not overextending, I'm not turning, I'm not over pivoting, and I'm making sure I'm landing with the right part of my shin. If I'm hitting with the flat part of my shin and I'm going forward and hitting my opponent's block, yeah, that's gonna break. So I need to make sure the sharp part of my shin hits their leg. If I'm hitting with the flat part of my shin, that's more likely to tend to break. It's softer there at the point. So hitting with the blade of the shin is important. So if I throw a big hard kick now and all of a sudden it's blocked, I don't want to throw these power kicks because I'm going to hurt and possibly break my shin. So this is where I start using this setup low kick. So using my jab a lot of the times, I throw that setup low kick. So the purpose of this setup low kick now isn't to score and do damage. It's encouraging them to block, because I know I'm throwing it in a safe way, in my setup way, which is the lower part of my shin, not over pivoted, you know, not so round and exaggerated. I know they're going to block. And if they don't, even those will consistently build up those instep slaps. And if they don't block it, guess what? I'm going to switch it over to a finished low kick and do more damage to the leg. But most of the time, they're going to start blocking. So once I get that block, I have my opponent on one leg. That's a beautiful thing. They won't be able to hit me when they're leg up blocking. So I need to get them in that position. So I'm going to keep going. All of a sudden, I get that block. Now what do I do? So step one in being able to attack off of the low kick is get them to block. On one leg, now this is where the strategies come. So you have to build in a feint. Now from the feint, right? So if I'm feinting, I just hit the low kick, boom. All of a sudden, now I feint with my hip. What happens? I got a block as well, right? So I got them to block in two different ways. Throwing a setup or boom, using a feint. Both safe ways, now they're on one leg. So with this right side hip feint, what does it do? It loads up my left side. So my favorite thing to do once that block is feint off, and guess what? Boom, I'm going left hook right to the liver. Or I can go hard hook to the head, right? So they're stuck here, so beautiful, boom. If I'm gonna go to the head the first time, and then I can chop the leg, and then all of a sudden go boom to the body or the head. I keep mixing up the left hook levels, right? And they won't know what's gonna happen. So it's an effective way. Being stuck here, the hook's gonna just make them fall down. And this is where further on, I'll tell you what to do off of that. Now, that's the first one, using the left hook. The second one, which is one of my favorites, is again, any which way you want to get them to block, with the setup or the feint. But now, instead of a hook, I'm going to step in, switch hip, and I'm going to kick the plant leg. As we are aware, most fighters are more durable on their lead leg because that's the one that get hit more often because it's closest to the target. Now, if you hit someone's back leg, for some reason, fighters don't train it enough and it will take less damage. So attacking that back leg is gonna hurt them even more and it's just gonna help you. Now all of a sudden they don't know which leg to block. They're gonna be confused and not only have you damaged the lead leg, you're going after the back leg. Right? Now, once they start blocking the back leg low kick, this is where you play with level changes. So feint. Now, they think the right side's coming, then all of a sudden they think the left kick's coming, then boom, I go upstairs with my left kick now. So changing levels with that left side, whether it's my hook or kicking the black plant leg or coming off, boom, hitting the head kick or the body kick, the arm kick, it doesn't matter. I'm changing levels with that left side attack. So feint, load up the left side and be able to create such beautiful, powerful offense off of the left side, okay? The third thing now, once I get that block up, those who are good with their knees and their clinch, this is beautiful, boom. I get the reaction, all of a sudden, I take a step. You see, now I actually step through. As I step through, I'm able to control their hands and throw a nice left knee to the liver, okay? So low kick, feint with a step forward. Now I'm in a southpaw position. As I switch, I grab the hands. Boom, I got a left knee to the liver. Perfect setup, all right? Now, usually when you have to enter, right, it's harder because they're punching you. But I got this reaction. Once I got them to block here, I can grab their wrists, you know, I can go underneath them. There's so many different things I can do. They become shelled up. Just like getting hit too often and hiding in your shell, that's kind of the same thing here. I mean, a lot of good Muay Thai fighters are gonna block and counter out on that. But again, if you're in the newer stages, a lot of these techniques are gonna work really well for you, even at the highest level. If I'm playing with level changes, or sometimes I kick, sometimes I punch, there's a lot of information going on and it'll still work even at the highest level. Okay, so the first one with the hooks, the second one with my left kick, and then I had my knee. Now, we can start playing games now and timing tactics. This is where, you know, number 4 is fun for me, okay? So what happens now is I'll throw my combination and I'll get the block. Now, I'm gonna use these left side attacks, you know, to ideally get them to step down again. So I'm playing, okay? Let's see if you can go through the language with me here, okay? So I'm using my punches to set up my kick. I throw a setup kick, right? Because I don't want to hurt my shin. I throw a setup kick, they give me the block, okay? From that block, I'm going to start going heavy punches upstairs, but a lot of them are going to be left hook slaps. I'm going to go left hook slap, left hook slap. When they're on one leg and they're getting these left hooks and these heavy pushing style hooks, what happens now here, they step down. That moment they step down, boom, I chop the leg. Okay? So using the timing game. As soon they can't stay in this position forever, right? Eventually they have to go down. So assist them with hooks. So when they get hit, they step down. That moment they get hit. Okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start pushing them in the direction so they step down. The moment they step down, I chop the legs. So that's strategy number 4. And you can play it in different ways. Boom, I could even push them backwards if I wanted to, right? But ideally it's the left hook that kind of makes them fall easier to smack that leg down. Okay? Now, the last one, the 5th and final, which is doubling up the kick. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I can throw the kick now, it gets blocked, right? What happens after they block the kick? They put their foot down. So that's when setup kick, boom, and then right away I chop down again and I crack that second leg. So I throw a double kick, an assessment, you know, start kick, right? Probing, boom. Setup kick, get them through. As soon as that leg comes down, hard shin, I go 1 step down, boom, I go back after that leg again, okay? So double the kick. Now, within this final strategy, there's one that I used a lot as an amateur that was really nice, right? So what would happen was I'd throw a low kick, and everybody knows I'm a low kicker. So what happens? They bring the leg up. So instead, I throw the first one to get the leg up, and then I do a skip step off the back leg, and boom, I go right underneath the block, and I'll sweep out the plant leg. One of my favorite amateur fights growing up, I did it 3 or 4 times in a row consistently. 1, boom, got up, did it again. 2, came up, boom, did it again. So I mean, it's a fun strategy, and they don't know. All of a sudden, they're so concerned now with that plant leg. This is when you can start going upstairs to the head to get the finish. So you can see something very simple, right? Which we see way too often, throwing a low kick and getting it blocked, right? Now you have strategies. Don't stop. You know, it's my biggest pet peeve in this world is when you have someone's legs hurt, not to continue to go after. Why do we have to headhunt when the leg is 1 or 2 strikes away? And just because one block, now we're never gonna go back to it? Of course, their leg is hurt. They're in survival mode. They're gonna start blocking. But use these strategies, use the different timings, use the different techniques to be able to finish that leg, okay? If you notice in my career, a lot of my finishes happened in the 3rd round, right? First round, because it's the accumulation of the low kicks, they're not gonna be able to take it. And then all of a sudden, so much attention is on the leg. Either the leg is gonna get finished, or guess what? You're so much attention blocking that I'm gonna probably heavy hammer punches and maybe get a punch finish at the end. Okay, so hope you enjoyed today's episode. Okay, a lot to learn here when it comes to it. Okay, don't stop once they block the low kicks. Please, if you're following the channel, that's my #1 request for you. Keep going back to the leg. All right, so make sure you head over to HayabusaFight.com. Check out their boxing gloves. It's my personal favorite with the knuckle and wrist protection. Perfect sports nutrition, Bazooka 20, link in the description below. BazookaShop.com for any of the merchandise. And the good old glorious BazookaTraining.com, okay? This is my baby here right now online where I'm teaching home workouts, bag workouts, tutorials, okay? Only $9.99 US a month, okay? Jump on that. Full classes, 30-minute workouts, right? This is just a little tip of the iceberg, okay? When you get into Bazooka training is when you get the big nuggets and the long training sessions with me and my team. All right, we'll see you next time here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA.
Over 1 year in lockdown, an empty gym, a divided community, many questions unanswered.
They're doing the best they can, trying to save their business.
But on one man's 36th birthday, he decided to fight back. Subscribe now for only $9.99 USD a month. BazookaTraining.com